I'd like to congratulate the senator from North Carolina for his proposal. I mean, these two votes we're having today, I would say to the senator, this is like the opening act at the circus. And hopefully the main event will attract some senators who are willing to conduct this in a grown-up way. I mean, we don't really have a disagreement here. I mean, we have a serious issue. We have students graduating all over the country from high school at about this time. And about 70% of them want to go to college, will go to college. And the taxpayers want to encourage that. We spend about $35 billion in Pell Grants to help pay for that. And then 3 out of 4 of those students who go to college will go to public colleges and universities like the University of Michigan or Mississippi or North Carolina, Tennessee. And the taxpayer helps foot the bill for that. And then the taxpayer is going to loan $133 billion this year in student loans to students of all kinds. And what the senator from North Carolina and the senator from Oklahoma have suggested, and I've joined them, is that we take advantage of today's low rates and that we lower rates on all the new loans to something below 5%. Fix that rate for those students who get their loans this year. Allow them to participate in the income repayment program so when they take a job, they won't have to spend too much of their money repaying back the loan. In some cases, it can ultimately be forgiven, and there's a cap on a consolidated loan if they choose to do that, which many do. Now, if we had a real disagreement about that, that would be one thing. But, Mr. President, we don't have a real disagreement. The House of Representatives, which is Republican, as we know, this is a Democratic body, the House of Representatives has passed a bill based on the same idea. The President of the United States, President Obama, has presented a budget to the Senate a few weeks ago based on the same idea. The idea is very simple. Let's take money. If we're going to loan $133 billion this year, let's take the money at exactly what it costs the government to get the money, which today I believe the senator said is about 1.75%, something like that. Let's add 3% to that, all of which goes back to the Department of Education for collections, defaults, administrative. So there's no profit on the students. And let's loan it to the students. And let's fix that rate, we say. If it's 4.75 today, it's 4.75 next year and 4.75 next year for that loan. And if the rates go up, the rates next year will reflect that increase. So it's fair to the students and it's fair to the taxpayers. It's a permanent solution. It's the same idea that the House has already passed. It's the same idea that the President has recommended. Yet our friends on the other side are so intent of playing political games that they want to have 2 votes today. And if I may say so, they should hire somebody to come up with a better idea than they came up with here. This is one of their weakest attempts at a political game I've seen in 10 years. I mean, we've got a permanent solution supported by the President, supported by the House Republicans, all the same idea, and they've come up with a short-term fix for 40% of the loans. They leave 60% hanging high and dry. They raise taxes to do it, and it's unconstitutional for them to do it because it originates a revenue bill in the Senate instead of the House. That's their weak idea. Now, Mr. President, why aren't they following the example of the senator from Michigan, the senator from Mississippi, and working in a bipartisan way to get a result? Why aren't they following the same idea of the senator from California and the senator from Louisiana on the water resources bill and work in a bipartisan way to get a result? Why aren't they following the same idea that the 4 Republicans and 4 Democrats did on the immigration bill and work to get a result? Instead, they have a political stunt at the White House, and they have another political stunt on the Senate floor at a time when students are graduating from high school, looking forward to college, and would like to have a permanent solution by July the 1st, which we can easily do. So, Mr. President, I guess it is inevitable that the opening acts of the circus are going to sometimes be like this, but I regret it. I mean, I didn't really come to the Senate to engage in this kind of thing. I would much rather sit down with my Democratic colleagues, which I believe we can do, and I'd much rather sit down with the White House officials, which I believe we can do, and with the House of Representatives and spend the next 3 weeks saying, look, we all have the same idea. We have a serious issue here. It affects millions of students, 70% of those graduating from high school. So let's work together, show the country we can do this. It'd be a nice prelude to the immigration debate, wouldn't it? To show that we can not only pass a water resources bill and a farm bill, but that we can also solve the student loan problem on a bipartisan basis, and then take up this more difficult immigration question where we have some real differences of opinion and we really need to have a debate. So I'm here really to congratulate the senator from North Carolina and the senator from Oklahoma for their suggestion and to fully support it. I'll conclude by saying that they have two aspects to their bill that I believe is preferable to the version of this idea that passed the House and to the version of this idea that was recommended by the president. Remember, it's the same idea, all three places: President's budget, House of Representatives, Burr and Coburn. Burr and Coburn would say, let's have a single interest rate. You know, there are three types of student loans. It's very confusing, even for those of us who've been around it a long time. So let's just say there's a single student rate. You're coming out of Maryville High School, and what's the cost of money? You're going to say this, right now, if you get a loan of any kind, it's going to be 4.75. It's whatever it costs the government to borrow the money plus the 3% that goes to the Department of Education. So I like that proposal. And then the second thing they do that I would suggest is preferable to the House of Representatives is if you get a loan at 4.75 in 2013, it's 4.75 in 2014 and 15 and 16 and 17, doesn't change. The House would have it going up each year. I don't like that idea, and I don't think many students would. But I wish all of our serious issues opened with proposals from the President and the House of Representatives and Senate Republicans that were as close together as this issue is. I mean, if we can't come to an agreement on this issue before July the 1st, based upon those three major centers of influence of here all making the same proposal, then we ought to go back to civics class in the 7th grade. So I don't think we all need to do that. I think we know how to do our jobs. This is the opening act of the circus. It won't take too long. Be a little embarrassing that we have to go through it. But after we go through it, maybe we can sit down and a Senate full of grown-ups will say, let's take the President's idea and the House idea and the idea suggested by Senators Burr and Coburn. Let's put it together. Let's congratulate all those students who are coming from college. Let's encourage them, hope it's a ticket to the middle class, and show that our country supports those students as they seek to advance.